minister did declare in the March mid-year budget review that he did plan to increase taxes on alcohol and tobacco. I believe that was in March. He said that in his
Well, I know in April,
speech.
April, when it was contested to say, well, let's not touch the VAT, let's raise the taxes on alcohol and cigarettes. He said, no, we're not doing that.
Okay, but he did say it in March, and he said it was going to happen in May.
Okay.
And May came and went, and maybe because of those debates, May came and went and nothing happened. So we thought, okay, maybe we were out of the woods, and you know, all the information was now available to everyone. So perhaps that decision was made in the best interest. And yes, so we knew that coming up with the budget in September, there would always be that risk it would come back on the table, and it did, yeah. Yes, we were trying to engage with the necessary stakeholders, explain the situation in the market, and that increase in tax could make the situation, as you alluded to, the black market situation, even worse. And that has happened, so we will now wait to see how the impact on consumers and how the dynamics play out. The one positive coming out of it, and I have to give the minister credit for this at least, is that in his budget speech, after he made the excise changes, the increases in the taxes, he did put a paragraph at the end where he acknowledged the increase in black market activity. And he did declare that it is his intention to work closely with customs and excise and the other authorities in place to try and reduce the amount of black market activity that's in the market. So at least, you know, which is the first, we've actually gotten acknowledgement from the government or from the Minister of Finance that there is a problem. And we look at that as a huge win, because now we can say, okay, they're no longer in denial. They've acknowledged it. So now they're in solution mode, which is great. And you know, being the leader in the industry, certainly we would want to be part of that solution. So again, we reached out on several occasions to the minister and to his team and to the relevant people who will be making up that solution, you know, as they go forward, to hope that we are part of that team.
Now, one of the major reasons that the minister gave for raising taxes on both alcohol and cigarettes was health, the health of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. But there's also the argument that even if you raise the taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, people are still going to be smoking, people are still going to be drinking. So it's not going to change that pattern. But how has the black market trade, because taxes is not the first time taxes have been raised on cigarettes. Right. How has the black market trade affected your business, your profits? And how do you expect it to? I know they say that they're going to be looking at it. Yeah. They're hoping to clamp down on it with customs and excise and you know, the relevant authorities. But how has it affected your business thus far?
A little history. There was no black market before 2010, or very little. The excise increased in 2010, and we saw at that point brands started to come into the market because the difference now between the legal product and the illegal product sort of justified the opportunity for people to take that risk to try and bring product into the market. And these brands, over the years, they made mistakes. They came, they went, they came, they went, and they sort of got it right along the way. And they started to create some consumer acceptance along the way. And so, of course, now when you have another excise increase 5 years later, it's only going to add fuel to that fire that's already burning. Yeah. You do it also in an environment of 2016 where there's a recession taking place, disposable income is under pressure, people are looking for more commodity type solutions rather than brand loyalty. So all of this is going to certainly have an impact on our consumers in terms of, can they keep up with the pricing, or do they need to start looking for a cheaper product? And that is our fear, obviously, that they're going to leave some of our brands and go to these cheap brands simply from a price perspective. But what we want consumers to understand is that in that move, you know, we don't know these products coming from China and India and Vietnam. We have no idea what sort of factories these products are being manufactured in, what quality controls are in place, what hygiene levels are in place in these factories. So yes, you think it's a good deal because the price is right, but at the end of the day, you really don't know, you know. So, you know, that is our concern, that the quality aspect will come under attack. And once you know, any product in the industry comes under that kind of quality debate, usually WITCO gets thrown into the mix, being the market leader. You know, so we're trying to make sure that people understand that if you go in that direction, it usually comes with additional risk.
Okay, now smoking on a whole,
Yes.
we know that
Which is why I said
also
additional risk.
risk. So we really do have to be careful with the black market
Yes.
trade and how we get our cigarettes out there.
Yes.
Because as you said, you know, we really don't know what's in those cigarettes. But has it affected from 2010? You say that is when it really
Yes.
started. Have you seen a decline in profits? And do you expect people, I mean, smoking is an addiction.
Right.
Do you expect people to really stop smoking, maybe cut back a little bit on smoking with these prices?
What we've seen in the last three to 5 years is that the consumption levels in Trinidad and Tobago have been reasonably flat. So there's no decline, there's no increase. Some people quit, some people start, and it kind of evens itself off. And that's been the trend for the last 3 to 5 years, which is actually aligned to the global trend. Yeah. What is happening though is that people are moving away from the more premium products to the commodity type products. Yeah. So what you see is a overall down trading taking place. And when you have black market in the market, it makes it even more accessible to these consumers. So what we are seeing is actually a move from the legal to the illegal, not necessarily because of the taxes have people stopped consuming. And we highlighted to the government, actually in 2015, we actually paid less excise in 2015 than we did the previous year because we've lost volume to these three brands who are not paying the taxes. So the government has also collected less revenue as a result of this, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, the industry loses, the government loses, the consumer loses, and unfortunately the only people who benefit are the individuals involved in the black market trade.
But isn't that going to go contrary as well to the government trying to raise money as well? It's going contrary to that because they're actually losing in that respect.
It will, and if they keep a close eye on it, I think this time next year they'll be scratching their head as to why that 60 million didn't materialize.
Mm-hmm. All right. What's the way forward for WITCO at this point in time, though? Because as you said, you know, more of the premium products, people are more going for the lower cost products, basically, and this has started before this increase. So,
I mean, again, the country's in a recession, so it's not just us. All the different businesses are going to feel the pinch of reduced disposable income. People watching how they spend, their consumption habits, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So we just have to continue. One thing that we're very good at is we listen to our consumers. Yeah, so we have a lot of tools on the ground, getting feedback, reacting to the consumers. We've launched some new products based on that research. We've also launched a brand called, we've relaunched a brand called Mondo in the market at a reduced price to try and get consumers back to our patch rather than going to those black market products. Obviously, we make much less money at that point in time, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they stay within the WITCO family rather than going outside of that. So there's quite a lot of dynamics in the industry taking place that I think we need another 6 to 9 months to see exactly how things settle before we could really assess how the impact of it. Yeah.
Now, I think another concern is also job loss, and that's a major concern, especially when things like this happen, and you know, WITCO is no longer making the profits that they were making before. And has there been a decline at all?
Well, you know, this is something we always have to again keep on the radar of the government and the other key stakeholders. I mean, at the end of the day, we do have a manufacturing footprint here that employs roughly over 200 people. We export 70% of what we manufacture is exported, so we are a net earner of foreign exchange. So all those companies who have been scrambling for foreign exchange, we haven't had that problem. In fact, we've been actually contributing because we're a net earner. Yeah. We also, throughout the course of a year, being a local company, we consume and use local suppliers to the tune of over $100 million. You know, so we do add to the local economy as well, and just being here. Yeah. So so the sustainability of that footprint is always something that the government needs to be aware of, because at the end of the day, if we continue to be impacted by this black market trade and our volumes continue to decline, at a point in time, it just won't make sense to keep the factory here. And that's something that we have to be aware of, you know.
That is another scary
It
thought
is,
as well.
and you know, it is a conversation we've been having with them. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm just saying from a long-term sustainable standpoint, it is a justification to keep it here.
Well, then maybe, you know, the government will actually get their wish in having a healthier society.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that consumption will reduce, right? Because it'll just mean now that we will become an importer rather than a manufacturer.
And that would, of course, again, mean loss of revenue for the country.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, moving forward, I said you did say that, you know, Mount Dew is another one of your
Yes.
products that you actually have started
To relaunch. Yeah,
right,
we had
to
to relaunch
relaunch.
it in the market, yeah.
I'm not a smoker, so I
Right.
don't know. How much would you say cigarettes have gone up retailing?
From today?
Yes.
So a pack of the Moray yesterday would have cost $26, today will cost $28. So it went up by $2 a pack, which represents about an 8% increase, even though the excise was a 15%. So we didn't pass on the whole burden to the consumer, but we did have to pass on some of it.
Okay, but that's not too bad. 26 to 28 is really not that bad.
It isn't, but it is when you have black markets selling at 12, 13, 14. It's less than double. It's half the price. So we are waiting to see, in fact, if any of these brands are impacted, or if they move or not. Then we'll know if the gap has widened.
You're talking about the black market prices.
Yeah.
So they're basically like half the cost
Yes.
of
Yes.
what WITCO produces.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, you said moving forward, you do have these different products happening and all of that. I mean, we think about, you know, what if, you know, taxes are raised again soon? How is that going to affect WITCO?
It certainly will. Every time the tax is raised, if you have the problem that exists today, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Now, I'm not saying that the government should never increase taxes again. I don't think that's realistic. But I do think that they should deal with the problem first, fix the problem, so that they know the legal industry is the only industry in the market, and then they have an opportunity there to collect more revenue.